These aren't horror movies, no jump scares, no monsters, just real people, real events, and real evil, documented, filmed, and put on screen for the world to see. These are 8 movies that actually happened, and by the end of this list, you'll wish they didn't. Let's dive in.
He's coming towards us. Oh my God, he has a gun.
Don't move!
Zodiac, 2007, David Fincher. Between 1968 and 1969, a serial killer terrorized Northern California. He called himself Zodiac. He shot teenage couples on dark roads. He stabbed 2 people at a lake and left a message on their car door. He shot a cab driver in the head in the middle of San Francisco. And between kills, he sent encrypted letters to newspapers, taunting the police, bragging about his victims, threatening to bomb school buses. And then he just stopped, or at least the letters stopped. The police had a prime suspect, a man named Arthur Lee Allen, a former schoolteacher who wore a Zodiac watch, who lived near the crime scenes, who had told a friend about his fantasy of hunting human beings. They investigated him for 2 decades, searched his home, and never found enough to arrest him. Allen died of a heart attack in 1992, still officially innocent. Fincher's film follows a political cartoonist at the San Francisco Chronicle named Robert Graysmith, a man so consumed by the case that it swallowed his entire life. His marriages fell apart, his relationships collapsed, he spent years in basements chasing a ghost. The Zodiac case is still officially unsolved. Whoever he was, he almost certainly died of old age, in a normal house, in a normal neighborhood, surrounded by people who had no idea. The film doesn't let you forget that.
They prove everything. Everything. About the church, about the bishops, about law.
And it's all public. Because your motion to oppose Roger's motion is public.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're paying attention.
And so I could just walk into that courthouse right now and get those documents?
No, you cannot. Because the documents are not there.
But you just said they're public.
I know I did. But this is Boston. And the church does not want them to be found. So, they are not there.
Spotlight, 2015, Tom McCarthy. In 2001, the Boston Globe assigned a small investigative team to look into a single priest accused of sexually abusing children. What they found wasn't a single priest. It was a system, a deliberate, carefully maintained system that had been operating for decades. By the end of the investigation, the Globe had identified at least 70 priests in the Boston Archdiocese alone, against whom the church had quietly settled abuse claims. In secret, out of court. In the years that followed, more than 250 priests and brothers in Boston were publicly accused. Nationally, the number eventually reached into the thousands. The Catholic Church knew, bishops knew. Cardinal Bernard Law knew, documents proved he had known since 1984. The solution was always the same: move the priest, pay the family, bury the paperwork. There is no violence in this film. The disturbance comes from somewhere else entirely. The slow realization that the people responsible weren't monsters hiding in the shadows. They were respected men in suits, making calculated decisions about how to protect the institution over the children inside it. That's the part no award can make comfortable.
I mean, when I was a kid, did you ever love me or anything?
You think Sonia Henny's mother loved her? Poor fucking you. I didn't stay home making apple brown Bettys. No, I made you a champion.
I, Tonya, 2017. Craig Gillespie. On January 6, 1994, figure skater Nancy Kerrigan was struck on the knee with a collapsible baton in a corridor at Cobo Arena in Detroit. The attack was ordered by Jeff Gillooly, the ex-husband of Tonya Harding, Kerrigan's biggest rival on the ice. Harding pleaded guilty to conspiracy to hinder prosecution, was fined $160,000, and was banned from competitive figure skating for life. But the film isn't really about the attack. It's about what came before it. Harding grew up in poverty in Portland, Oregon. Her mother was, by her own account, physically and psychologically abusive from early childhood. She started skating at 3 years old and became the first American woman to land a triple axel in competition. The judges still marked her down for her homemade costumes, her working-class background, her refusal to perform the feminine elegance the sport demanded. The question the film forces you to sit with: how much of what happened was inevitable? A woman failed by her mother, failed by her husband, failed by her sport, then blamed entirely by a public that never gave her a fair look to begin with.
What happened to her head?
If she was deposited in the woods, then animals could have conceivably done something like
Animals don't do that.
Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, 2019, Joe Berlinger. Ted Bundy confessed to 30 murders. Investigators believe the real number is higher. He operated across at least 7 states, targeting young women, often on college campuses, often in broad daylight. He would fake injuries, wear a sling, ask women for help carrying something to his car, and then he would kill them. He was caught twice and escaped twice. The second time, he broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University, attacked 4 women in their beds, 2 died, then walked several blocks and attacked a 5th woman, leaving her with permanent disabilities. 3 weeks later, he abducted and murdered a 12-year-old girl named Kimberly Leach from outside her junior high school. This film is told entirely through the eyes of Elizabeth Klopfer, his long-term girlfriend. She loved him. The film forces you to experience what she experienced. A man who seems completely normal, completely innocent, because that is exactly what he wanted everyone to see. His 1979 trial was the first in American history to be televised nationally. Women sent him love letters. During his second trial in 1980, he proposed to his girlfriend Carol Ann Boone from the witness stand. Under a Florida law, the declaration was legally binding. She said yes. They were immediately legally married. He was executed on January 24, 1989. Crowds gathered outside the prison to celebrate. The fact that people cheered his death tells you everything about how badly he had broken something in the public psyche.
Fucking to do.
Monster, 2003, Patty Jenkins. Eileen Wuornos was a sex worker who killed 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990. She was executed by lethal injection on October 9, 2002. Her father was a convicted child molester who hanged himself in prison. Her mother abandoned her when she was 4. Her grandfather threw her out of the house at 15. She began living in the woods. She spent the next 2 decades hitchhiking, surviving. When she killed for the first time in 1989, she claimed self-defense, that the man had raped her at gunpoint. That first victim, Richard Mallory, had in fact previously served 10 years in prison for violent rape, a detail that only emerged after she was convicted. The film doesn't ask you to excuse what Wuornos did. It asks you to understand how a person gets there. Before her execution, she gave a final interview, lucid, articulate, angry. She said she would kill again. She also said the American justice system had failed her every single day of her life. Both of those things can be true at the same time. That's what makes it so hard to shake.
Look at your mother. Come here, Lisa.
Where did the blood come from?
Please, please.
You are safe.
You're right, Roger.
You are safe. You are safe, Roger. You are safe, Roger. It's okay.
Hotel Rwanda, 2004, Terry George. In April 1994, a genocide began in Rwanda. Over 100 days, an estimated 800,000 people, mostly ethnic Tutsi, were massacred, 8,000 people a day. The weapons were machetes. The killers were neighbors. Radio stations broadcast the names and addresses of Tutsi families. The UN had peacekeeping forces in Rwanda. They were ordered not to intervene. The Clinton administration avoided using the word genocide because under international law, that word would have obligated a response. Paul Rusesabagina, the the manager of the Hotel des Mille Collines, sheltered over 1,200 refugees inside the hotel walls until UN forces evacuated them. Don Cheadle plays him. He was nominated for Best Actor. The postscript is uncomfortable. General Romeo Dallaire, the UN commander on the ground, later said it was his troops, not the hotel manager, who kept the refugees alive. In 2021, Rusesabagina was convicted on terrorism charges, sentenced to 25 years, then released in 2023 after international pressure. His guilt or innocence remains contested. History, as always, is more complicated than the movies.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I was just at work for real. Like, I'm just trying to do my job, and I don't know.
I need you to do me a favor and calm down for me, okay?
Compliance, 2012, Craig Zobel. On April 9, 2004, a man called a McDonald's in Mount Washington, Kentucky, identified himself as a police officer and told the manager that an 18-year-old employee named Louise Ogborn had been accused of stealing. He said he needed her cooperation. What followed over the next 3.5 hours is one of the most disturbing, documented cases of psychological manipulation in American history. The manager strip-searched Ogborn. She called her fiancé to come and watch her. The caller instructed him to have Ogborn perform increasingly degrading acts. He complied. For hours. The caller was not a police officer. His name was David Stewart, a security guard from Florida. He had made similar calls to fast food restaurants for over a decade, at least 70 incidents across 30 states. In most of them, employees complied. He was tried and acquitted. It didn't require monsters. It required a phone and a voice that sounded like it knew what it was doing.
Kalau dulu kita main pukul, pertama itu datang kita main pukul, itu kan darah banyak. Di sini kan darah, di sini kan darah banyak ini kan. Jadi karena kelewat banyak darah itu kan bersihnya kan bau, iya kan?
The Act of Killing, 2012, Joshua Oppenheimer. In 1965, following a military coup in Indonesia, an estimated 500,000 to 1 million people were killed in less than a year, accused of being communists or sympathizers or simply people someone wanted dead. The men who carried out the killings were never prosecuted. They were celebrated. They received medals. Some went on to hold political office. Joshua Oppenheimer filmed the survivors. They were too afraid to speak, so he turned his camera on the perpetrators, and they were not afraid at all. The killers agreed to reenact their murders on camera, in whatever cinematic style they chose. One of the main subjects, Anwar Congo, by his own account killed approximately 1,000 people. He was a fan of American gangster movies. He got the idea of strangling victims with wire from mafia films because it produced less blood. In the documentary, he stands on the rooftop where he killed people and demonstrates the technique. Then he dances the cha-cha on the same roof. No narrator, no music telling you how to feel, no justice. Just these men, laughing, dancing, reenacting. Anwar Congo shows something that might be remorse very late in the film when he is made to play the role of a victim himself. It may be the most disturbing moment in documentary history, not because of what he did, but because of how long it took. Anwar Congo died in October 2019 at the age of 78. He was never charged with any crime. The monsters are sitting in front of the camera, smiling and asking how they look. 8 films, 8 real stories. The credits roll, the screen goes dark, but these events didn't end when the cameras stopped. They happened to real people in the real world. And in most cases, nobody was ever truly held accountable. Thank you for watching.